But isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be early
90s, isn't it? Yeah. Come here.
Long time ago.
How's your wee eye now then?
Oh, we dry eye.
Yeah.
Hey, fine.
You do be alright. It's kind of clearing up a wee bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Does it annoy you, does it?
I just have to get my glands on my eyelid get blocked.
On that one particular eye, is it? What
yeah.
causes that? Is that stress or something like that? No.
I just am prone to getting those glands blocked. And it is stress. I'm very stressed.
Are you stressed?
I'm not
what are you
too
stressed? You should be. You're an hour less now. There's no stress in that.
Really? Thanks very much indeed.
Get over that, Lee. Come on.
See, some of us had to come up with some new ideas.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Right. That's good. And new ideas are always good, isn't it? If it's broke, do you know you need new stuff? I'm only joking.
Okay.
Right,
No, you're
looking fresh on it anyway.
I
Come here.
feel fresh.
Wasn't it just lovely on a serious point? Wasn't it just nice to be driving on the roads?
It's nice.
Nice, normal stuff.
Yeah.
Do you know, even if we be
But
stuck in
people seem
traffic.
to be so excited that it was snowing. I hate it.
No, I love it. I like it, but see that slushy stuff. I hate it. That yesterday was dodge.
No, nice this morning. Still some lying around, but
There
it's
is,
nice and clear though.
Yeah, but so then I was saying to Wheelie, then he says, "Oh, that's it, no more snow." And I said, "No, there'll be snow again." Do you know there'll be another? Probably another few weeks or something like that. It's
brilliant.
I think there's a storm hitting the UK with snow and stuff.
And we might get a wee tail end.
I can't remember the name of the storm, but
Georgina or something. I can't remember.
No, something different than that.
Okay, well, listen, I better go.
I can't do your show.
Huh? What are you saying? Gretty, I wasn't far.
Is it Gretty?
Yeah, Gretty.
Oh, Storm Gretty. My godmother was Gretty.
Yes.
Auntie Gretty. She's lovely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Auntie Gretty.
All right, then. Thanks, Lee.
All right, Greg,
chat to you tomorrow. Okay, 9 o'clock. Let's get a news update. It's over to Donna Marie.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. Funeral arrangements have been announced for Ardra businessman Stephen McCahill, who will be laid to rest on Saturday following a 12 noon funeral mass at the Church of the Holy Family, Ardra. Mr. McCahill, who was killed in his home earlier this week, was remembered by his family for his lifelong dedication to communities across southwest Donegal. They say his legacy will endure through the many people and organisations he supported. Meanwhile, 32-year-old Michael Maloney of Lockrose Point appeared at Letterkenny District Court last night, charged in connection with his murder. Donal Kavanagh reports.
Michael Maloney of Lockrose Point, Ardra, appeared before Judge Kieran Liddy at a special court sitting. Detective Garda Patrick Kelly gave evidence of arresting and cautioning the accused man before charging him with the murder of Mr McCahill at Beha, Ardra. Solicitor Mark Maloney told the court his client has a psychiatric illness and is on medication. He asked that the accused be afforded all necessary medical and psychiatric treatment while in custody, and made an application for legal aid, offering a statement of means to the court. Michael Maloney was remanded in custody to Castlereagh Prison to appear before the court again via video link on Monday next, January 12th.
Gardaí in Donegal have seized a vehicle after a dangerous driving incident in the Quigley's Point area of Buncrana. The incident occurred on Saturday night last when members of the Buncrana Roads Policing Unit attempted to stop a car that was being driven dangerously. The driver failed to comply, prompting Gardaí to deploy a stinger device. The vehicle was safely brought to a halt and subsequently seized. Further checks revealed that false registration plates had been attached. Investigations are ongoing and a file is being prepared for court proceedings. RSA driving testers have voted in favour of going on strike. Members of the Forza trade union say their employer had failed to make sure testers are covered by the State Claims Agency while working. If the strike goes ahead, it could mean test wait times increase. Driving instructor Brenda Bulger says testers have to take motorists' words for being insured.
So when somebody goes in to do their driving test, they're given a declaration that they have to read and they have to sign it, and it states that they are fully insured and meet all the legal requirements to go out on the road and undertake the test. There's no question as to providing evidence that they are actually insured.
Looking now to weather, cloudy and dry for most, with patchy light rain and drizzle further east at first. Generally dry for the rest of the day with clear skies and some sunny spells too. That's with highest temperatures of 3 to 5 degrees. That's all for now from the newsroom. Back with more at 10 o'clock.
VHI Healthcare gives you and your family more. Get access to VHI Paediatric Clinic, urgent care, online doctor, and much more. Search VHI today and get 15% off kids on a range of plans. VHI, because your health means everything. See vhi.ie for range of plans. VHI Healthcare DAC trading as VHI Healthcare is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland and is tied to VHI Insurance DAC for health insurance in Ireland.
The Talk of the Northwest, The Greg Hughes Show on Highland Radio.
Good morning. You're very welcome along to The Greg Hughes Show this 7th of January. It's Wednesday, of course, 4 minutes past 9, and we have another packed 2 hours for you, keeping you informed and entertained. Lots coming up on the show, and we'll kick off with our Triple Take. It's where we look at 3 of the biggest stories making the papers this morning. And we'll start with the Irish Times. We should be loaded. You should be rolling in money. No one should be going to food banks. No one should be stuck for cash. No one should be struggling to pay their electricity bills, should they? Because we took in, and when I say we, it's clearly not us, a record €106 billion tax last year, and this despite the fear of US tariffs hanging over our heads. Government tax receipts surged by almost 9% to a record $106 billion last year, despite the uncertainty caused by US tariffs. The year-end exchequer returns published by the Department of Finance yesterday showed the government collected $94.7 billion in corporation tax in 2025, $4.4 billion down on the previous year. However, the 2024 total was inflated by almost $11 billion from the Apple tax case, stripping the actual income from both years. Underlying corporation tax rose by 17% to $32.9 billion in 2025. So, I mean, obviously it's significant money. It's a massive amount of money. I do struggle to figure out how in a country of our size with a population of, 5.7 million, that you can take in €106 billion in tax in a single year, much of that a windfall, and still struggle. It's very hard to understand why that money doesn't trickle down. Anyone with any insights into that, educate me, please, because I'm very, very open to understanding what could be going on there. Enoch Burke was back in court, and I believe he had some level of success. Jailed transgender school teacher Enoch Burke is seeking a temporary injunction restraining an appeals board from taking any further steps in his consideration of whether it was correct for Wilson's Hospital School to sack him 3 years ago. The disciplinary appeals panel is due to reconvene on Saturday, but that hearing now appears to be in doubt after Mr. Burke issued legal proceedings claiming he did not get fair procedure at an earlier panel hearing on December 13th in a lawsuit initiated yesterday. Mr. Burke claims he was not allowed to effectively cross-examine witnesses. He's also claimed that a member of the panel, Association of Secondary School Teachers in Ireland, President Geraldine O'Brien, was objectively biased and had prejudged the matter. So he'll have answers to those questions in the not too distant future. And lastly, we're already enduring long driving test waits, and it could get worse. Driving examiners at the Road Safety Authority have voted in favour of industrial action over concerns that workers are not properly protected by insurance if they are in a crash. The Forsha Trade Union accused the RSA of failing to ensure testers are fully covered by the State Claims Agency. A ballot on industrial action was launched by the union 4 weeks ago, and it was announced yesterday that 83% of eligible members voted, with 95% opting for strike action. The union is set to meet with the Workplace Relations Commission on Tuesday, January 20th, before determining its next steps. Have you anything to say in relation to those stories, or anything else for that matter?
The Greg Hughes Show on Highland Radio. Text WhatsApp 086 60 25000. Call 074 91 25000 or email comments at highlandradio.com.
Right, we're joined on the programme now by Cormac Meehan. Good morning, Cormac.
Morning, Greg, and a Happy New Year to you and your listeners.
And a Happy New Year, and thank you very much for joining us on the programme today. You have opinions, don't you, on courtesy and manners?
Yeah, it's something that surfaced over the Christmas period and was probably brought to a head a few days ago when there was a profile piece in the Irish Times by a lady called Margaret Heffernan, who may or may not be well known in the media circles, about Dunn Stores and those companies that she's involved in. But she made a point to say that when she was recruiting people for senior positions in her business, she generally invited them to lunch or to have a bite to eat. And she closely observed the way they dealt with the people that served with them or interacted with them in the restaurants or the cafes that they went to. And she was quite upset when they didn't actually recognize or thank the servers or the people that they were dealing with. And the absence of this courtesy suggested to her that they weren't the sort of people that she would like to have working in her business. And that just led me to a train of thought where, again, I would be very conscious, having worked in professional services for the best part of 40 years. I have always felt the importance of both customers and service providers in my business. And if we were anyway discourteous to any of those sectors, we wouldn't have remained in business terribly long. Courtesy is something that is, it's quite easy. It doesn't cost a lot. What it takes is your time and your consideration, and that was the thrust of my my discussion.
Well, what do you think the basic? What do you think, Cormac? The basic things then that we're seeing less of now. So when we say courtesy and manners, okay, I mean it might seem quite obvious on the face of it. Just wondering what your, maybe your everyday experience and notice of changes.
Well, I was in a service station as it happened in Letterkenny a few days before Christmas, and there was a young lad in front of me at the food counter, and he asked for a chicken wrap, and he just smiled at the lady behind the counter and said, "You know something? This has to be one of the best chicken wraps that you can get in the northwest of Ireland, and thank you very much." And I was totally taken by this young lad who didn't look like a guy who was going to dish out a compliment. But then I spoke to the lady behind the counter and I said, "Wasn't that lovely?" And she said, "Yeah, it sort of made her day." So people say that, if you do take time to engage with the people that you encounter in those face-to-face consumer situations, that both parties actually benefit from it because it benefits the receiver and the giver.
And there's no tax on it, there's no VAT on it, there's no cost to it. It's actually just... and I think the giver gets as much from an exchange like that than the receiver. So in other words, if we all sort of made more of an effort to be courteous, to be polite, to be mannerly, to give each other a little bit of a lift, we all benefit from it. It's not just the receiver. I don't think so.
I think so. And there was a movement to post-COVID when people were getting involved in things like, say, self-improvement and trying to just fine-tune themselves a little bit more after that dreadful experience for 2 years, where they were encouraged to be grateful and to try at least once a day to thank somebody, someone, or indeed yourself for something that you have. And that you appreciate. And the consciousness of being aware and being grateful for what you have it's not some highfalutin notion about being wealthy or being, very, very endowed with benefits. But they can be very, very simple things like being able to walk along the seafront on Rossnow or Bundoran or wherever else, and being able to do that over Christmas, for example, or even meeting people that you haven't met for a long, long time. But I think where we fall down a little bit is that we're not cognizant of those things. And if we were a little bit more aware and recorded those issues, then we might appreciate them a whole lot more. And I think you're right. It benefits both the giver and the receiver.
Is there any generational element to this, Cormac? And I don't want this to sort of sound like I'm youth bashing. Don't get me wrong. But, there is a noticeable difference, I think, now, generally speaking, with sort of maybe how younger people might carry themselves to they might have a couple of generations ago. And it's not always negative, don't get me wrong, but there are differences because they're being reared in different ways. They're interacting in different ways. That being said, I want to say this from the get-go before I ask this question. 99% of the places I go into, it's young people that are working in them, and I find them an absolute pleasure, don't get me wrong. But I suppose we're going to focus on whereby you go into places and it doesn't feel quite as friendly.
Yeah, and again, I don't want to sound, he says, like an old fogey when you bring up these issues or discuss them. But I don't think it's a generational thing because, again, I have the same experience as you, that when I do go to, say, as I mentioned, the post office or the shops, that the youngsters, and I'm saying that not in a patronising way, but people younger than me, a whole lot younger than me, are very courteous and are very cognizant. And sometimes the duty is with the employer who would try and endow this quality in their employees and impress upon them the importance of exuding this sort of welcome.
Can I add to that, Cormac, if you don't mind? Because there are, as we were talking, there are places where you go with the family, and there seems to be sort of it's almost cultural within in the building, whereby you go into one place and everyone is so friendly and can't do enough for you, and then obviously you give that back, but then you go to other places and you barely get acknowledged when you walk in through the door, and it's one of these it could be one of these wait until you're seated jobs, right? I think it does come from the top down in terms of how you run a business, if we were focusing on the business side of it for a moment.
It certainly does, but again, and I found myself again in the past where I encounter that sort of a response, where, for example, somebody at a cash outlet doesn't make eye contact with you, doesn't look up, doesn't engage, and just sort of thrusts the receipt and the change into your hand, and that's the end of it. But sometimes if you extend yourself and say, well, and how are you today, or make some sort of an engagement to try and, but I suppose what we have to again be very much aware of is we don't know what's impacting the person behind the counter or on the other side of the engagement. Have they had a bad day? Have they had a bad experience? It all boils back to the issue about courtesy and awareness of each other.
Yeah, indeed.
Because that will trickle down.
And I think you're of the view, Cormac, that let's start a new year and maybe put a little bit of cost-free effort into it. All of us.
I think that that's a good idea, and it's funny that our efforts on the gratitude front tend to be focused around the end of the year, would you believe? Because we come up to Christmas and it's a sort of a party and festive season, and we sort of feel that there is a sense of goodwill, largely there, where we do we tend to be happier in ourselves, for the most part.
Yeah.
So it takes a little bit more effort to do it in the dark January days at this both end of the year when we're all taking down.
And some of these people we're talking of are 6 weeks between payments as well too, which can assert its own pressure. Cormac Meehan, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much,
Okay,
Greg.
look after yourself and have a wonderful year. Do you agree, disagree? 086 60 25,000, 086 60 25,000, or give us a call on 07491 25,000.
Watch the show live on YouTube, Facebook, or X. Just search Highland Radio.
The Greg Hughes Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Big plans, big dreams. Home improvement loans, borrow up to €80,000. Visit letterkennycu.ie today.
Newspapers are kindly supplied by Cosgrove Centra, Mountaintop Letterkenny. Now with the new look Mountaintop Diner.
Didn't get the chance to celebrate before Christmas? Century Complex is offering Christmas party packages up until January the 18th. Choose your ideal package with great food, fun activities and cocktails. Perfect for teens, clubs, families or friends. Groups of 5 or more. Visit centurycinemas.ie or call 07491 21976 for more information.
Take it to the limit. A celebration of the Eagles comes to the Radisson Hotel Sligo for one night only on Sunday, January 18th. Hear Johnny Brady, Simon Casey, Nigel Connell and the Sheeran family perform all the Eagles' biggest hits. Tickets from €34.50. Available from hotel reception or at takeittothelimit.ie.
T-Shirt Express has moved. You'll now find us beside C&M Embroidery, Lismonaghan, Letterkenny. We're still your go-to spot for custom t-shirts, workwear, gifts and balloons. Just in a fresh new location. You can still reach us on the same number, 086 343 3504. T-shirt Express, now beside C&M Embroidery, Lismonaghan, Letterkenny.
Happy New Year! Or should we say Happy 261? Didn't get the chance to pre-order your new car? No worries, we have 261 stock ready to go. New year, new plans, and the perfect moment for a new car. You deserve it! Visit iMotors in Letterkenny or Malin. iMotors, fearless generation.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
The time now is 19 minutes past 9. We were talking on the programme yesterday about these AI girlfriend apps that their makers are targeting at young people. It's probably most likely going to be predominantly young men and boys, whereby they have a virtual girlfriend in inverted commas and can see them in various states of undress. And in some cases, you can actually use the image of a real person and doctor that to make this person that can be found into compromising situations, this AI person, look like someone in real life. And I also mentioned yesterday something that really has been like a tsunami on the internet over the Christmas, and it's the emergence of people using AI, but most notably Grok AI, which is associated with X, to disrobe people. So they are getting pictures of politicians, journalists, celebrities, people that they know, uploading them to Grok and asking them to be stripped of their clothes, put into revealing outfits, and so on and so forth. And it is happening completely unchecked. The only thing that Grok actually did was in the Grok, which has its own account, there is a media section, and they disabled that media section because if you clicked into it, it was just literally a gallery of people being exploited, their images being doctored to leave them in compromising positions, to the point, by the way, where it is indistinguishable whether or not it's a real image or it is not. That's how advanced AI has got. This is obviously of great concern. Grok don't seem to be doing anything about it. Some children were placed in revealing outfits. They banned those accounts apparently, but still it is being used in all manner of very, firstly, it's icky, it's disgusting, but it's also incredibly damaging. Nolene Devaney's manager of the Donegal Sexual Abuse and Rape Crisis Centre. And Nolene, I find it almost hard to believe that this is happening in plain sight on what is arguably one of the biggest, or certainly the biggest news social media sites in the world.
Absolutely, Greg. I think it's very worrying for ourselves as an organisation, but also for us as a community. We should be very concerned that we have access very freely to AI and the bots that they use, and that even, I suppose, the policing of this with X is that they are not they're not policing it themselves. They're waiting for humans to report it. So I mean, we're all aware that AI is quite the intelligence that's behind it, that they can actually police themselves, but they're not doing this. They're not stepping up. They're leaving it to humans to report that it's been flagged, you know. So it's really deeply concerning that for people who are experiencing this, the psychological harm that they are experiencing is quite similar to what it would be if they actually experienced sexual abuse in person. So the deep pornography is targeting their reputation as well and makes them feel as though they've lost control. And when we talk about sexual violence, it's all about control, Greg. So this is taken to a new level. It's one step removed in terms of there is no physical contact, but it is having a deep psychological impact on those affected.
Yeah, I just never thought we'd find ourselves in a position, Nolene, where we've spoken extensively over the years about fake images, the sharing of these images, how it's illegal, how it's the same as sharing an image without someone's permission. And yet here we have a situation whereby this is happening just completely and utterly in plain sight, and nothing seems to be being done about it. In the UK, Elon Musk has been encouraged to urgently deal with it. I haven't heard much from the Irish government, and X is based here, but something's going to have to be done. I mean, should this whole AI thing be suspended until such time as they can put in safeguards to ensure this doesn't happen? I'm on about from an X perspective.
I suppose we have to be looking to in our country is coming to man they would be looking after the acts and what they're allowed to post and the policing of that. And currently what they're saying is they're speaking to their counterparts in Europe about this. And to be quite honest, that's not good enough. That's passing the buck. Our government have responsibility and a duty of care to their people. So they should be stepping in, and especially like you said, X is based here, But I suppose part of that problem is they're worried about the financial side of it, the implications. But I mean, you're talking about Elon Musk. He has not a care in the world. That man doesn't. This is not even relevant to him. As far as he's concerned, he's getting more airtime, so that's great. But what we really should be speaking to is our government. They are there to protect our people and the most vulnerable in our communities. So this is impacting children, but it's impacting. So sexual violence impacts all genders, but very specifically, this is targeting 99%. It's females that they're targeting.
Yes.
So it's very gender specific.
And whilst they were seemingly able to, according to reports, seemingly able to block images where it's clearly a child, I mean, there is an age whereby you can be under. I mean, this is not acceptable at any age, but you can be under 18, and the AI software may continue with this sort of activity. So whilst it's an abuse of adult women, there are still predominantly women, teenaged girls that are being exploited by this. And the issue as well, Nolene, is how do you put the genie back into the bottle? Because there have been millions and millions and millions of these images created. And even if the accounts are banned, those images out there, and again, as I say, they're indistinguishable from the person being in that compromising position in real life. And they're out there in the ether. It's very concerning. Yeah.
And there's no retrieving of that. And that's something, and we've spoken about this before. This is about education too. So if you look at about who's perpetrating this and who's carrying out this, there's a wide spectrum here. You have the very end of the spectrum. You have the perpetrators who get off on this kind of demeaning of humans. And then you have young people who are now thinking it's a bit of crack, and there is a huge misinformation out there around this is, what you're doing is you're distributing images without someone's consent, so you're stepping across a boundary here. And fundamentally what it is, and I know there's a lot of conflict about this at the minute, but it's an infringement on human rights, Greg. We have a right to privacy. And whenever someone is sharing images like this here, it's compromising your integrity and your autonomy. And that's something that we need to be talking about. I suppose on a national level, this is something our government needs to look at, but within our local communities, even within Donegal, it's something we need to be having a conversation around. We should be able to talk to our daughters or granddaughters and say to them, because everyone accesses AI. It's the future. That's the way it is. We're not going to suspend AI. It's going to continue. But it's about making sure that it's policed, but making sure that we protect our young people and make sure we have the conversations,
But the problem we have with that, Nolene, and not wishing to talk over you, and I think you're going to go on to sort of making sure that they discuss it if they've been a victim. In the past, again, sorry to sort of go back over old ground, but we talked about how, don't allow yourself to be blackmailed or trapped into sharing intimate images because they could end up out on the internet. Now we have a situation where we've got this massive, highly used software that's doing that even when people don't do it, which is that, again, I really struggle to get my head around it. So we can't even say to our young people, protect yourselves, because anyone for that matter, someone could take an image of them doing anything at a christening and doctor the image. So do you know what I mean? That's what's really, really worrying me.
Yeah, and again, I suppose that's looking at the victim perspective, but we have to look at the perpetrators. We have to look at the people that are doing this. So we have to be saying, you're entitled to post a photo of yourself. So it's all about choice. I can choose to post a photo of myself in a nice flowery dress, but I'm also choosing not to post a photo of myself naked. So when someone else chooses to derobe you, they are crossing the boundary. They're stepping into this. So it's about speaking to them as well. So when I say talking to our young people, yes, about, I suppose, being a victim of it, but also making sure that they're aware not to be perpetrators. Don't do this. Yeah. Do not think that it is just something because it's AI and you're sitting behind a screen that it's not impactful. Yeah. Do not think that you can get away with this. This is, you are infringing on someone's rights. You are crossing that boundary. So it is about not just about talking to the victims of it, but making sure that we speak to our young people to know that they can be perpetrators of this.
Yeah. The thing is, though, I don't think it's young people that are necessarily responsible for this, and I'm not saying you're blaming them, but I saw a journalist, a female journalist, who was complaining that her images had been doctored in this way, and literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of men, they can't all be 14-year-old boys or girls, said, well, you've posted pictures of yourself on your Facebook, and then continued to actually flood her timeline with doctored images to the point where she had to deactivate her account. All of those images of her are still up there. And that is, I don't know what's wrong with people that they think there's some way of justifying it. So in other words, these guys thought that because maybe she once posted a picture of herself on her own social media, that they were entitled then to doctor her images, and they bullied her to the point she had to remove herself from that platform. But all of those images of her, 99.9% of them being fake, are still out there. It's okay. How do you put that genie back in the bottle?
Well, you can't. And I'm not saying that, the entirety of this is around young people. And what I'm saying is we have to have a conversation with our young people. And I said earlier, the spectrum of the perpetrators of this is very, very broad. You have it when it's maybe just someone who is accessing AI and thinking, what will I do with this? How can I use it? Right through to the other end of the spectrum where it is that perverted person who's sitting in their basement like that, sitting behind a keyboard warrior who thinks they can do anything without any impact, but also people who actually get off on this. This is the predatory part of it. But it is a wide spectrum of abusers here that you're talking about, and predominantly it is males that are doing this. And it's about looking at our males and saying, what is wrong here? What is happening in your life that you feel the need to go in, take someone's image and change it? And what part of that psychological, behind that, there's something deeply worrying about our society if that's where our males are heading. And
I just wonder, is it normalising things? This is a bit of a rant, and you can agree or disagree or opine if you like, Nolene. But, the one thing I've noticed about Elon Musk, who runs X, as he was trying to demonstrate the power of Grok and its AI ability, I always thought it was strange that he seemed to choose these cartoony, Asian, quite, prepubescent type characters to show how powerful it was. He's in line for a 1 trillion bonus if he continues to be successful in his businesses. He's the person behind this. He could stop it today. But he's got so much influence, I'm not sure Europe wants to take him on. And his best mate now, back again, is Donald Trump, which Donald Trump has been implicated in all sorts of things via the Epstein files, despite trying to cover it up. And we can see how it then feeds into sort of this geopolitical thing where he's trying to take over Greenland. Europe needs him to back the deal in Ukraine. And is anyone actually going to take on Elon Musk when both he and Donald Trump are talking about freedom of speech and freedom of expression and being very critical of Europe? It would just make you wonder, given the degrees of separation to the most powerful people in the world, is this a plan to normalise women in this way? Or, well, I don't want to sound like I'm going down some rabbit hole, Nolene, but, basically you can see who's in charge of it and who they're connected to, and it worries me.
Absolutely, and it is worrying because they have the power to change it. That's what I was saying. I mean, so if you look at Google and YouTube had part of their AI recently was able to create a murder scene of a woman, and whenever the planes come in, they were able to create AI bots that were able to police that then and take it down and monitor it, so it hasn't happened since. But when you're talking about X, and again, this comes down to choice, but it's also about capitalism and money. I suppose Elon Musk has power and he has money. So this means nothing to him. It's about, I suppose, that profile raising and making sure that he gets his $1 trillion bonus. But also, it's about our government, Greg. What it boils down to is what we have access to in our country, they have choice over. And it's not about stopping AI. It's about making sure that it is policed in a way that our vulnerable in society and the rest of us, our human rights are protected.
Yes.
I mean, you can go on to X and you can access porn on X, It's about.
Oh, I said 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, X is or Twitter as it was then, is the biggest porn site in the world, and anyone can access it. You don't need to prove your age. I just worry on the bigger picture here that we don't want to pee off Elon Musk in this country. We don't want to pee off his mate, and I think the cost to that is the rights of women And I'm really worried that that's just the way we are. And sorry, I keep saying I'm really worried. It's just this is really significant, and it can be any of us at any time. It's not a problem for someone else. It could be a teenager that comes home from school distressed today, saying that these images are going around, and it's very concerning. Nolene, if anyone, this is in any other circumstances, this would be, it would be a crime. Right. And I'm not saying it's not a crime, but it's happening so much on this platform. If people need support, I presume if they've been the victim of this activity on the world's biggest news platform, I presume the Rape Crisis Centre is there to offer any advice or support.
Absolutely, and that's what I had said earlier. It's about us being able to have conversations with the women in our lives, whether they are teenagers or if they're in the early 20s or early 30s. There is no one who will be untouched by this. So it's about having that conversation and making sure that if it has happened to someone and they're not sure, because sometimes we can experience different forms of sexual violence and we're not 100% sure if it actually reaches that threshold. So reach out and speak to us. Even if it's just to have a conversation, to ask the question, but know that there's a safe space out there where you can speak to someone who is impartial. Sometimes speaking to family can be quite difficult, but it's really important that they have that opportunity to speak to someone. So our number is 074 91 282 111, or they can access us through our email, which is info@donegalrapecrisis.ie.
Do you think we need finally some clarification? Because my understanding is that the sharing of intimate images, the distribution of intimate images is a crime in this country. Yeah. These are sexual images or could be deemed as such. So what you have is that people in this country are routinely doing this using the X platform. Do we need some clarification from the state if it's illegal on that platform to be doing that, if that makes sense? Because it does, what's happening on X and what you can see quite easily does seem to be at odds to the laws of our land.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the distribution of indecent images, which it falls under Coco's law. And, it's without the consent of the person. So I don't see how they can be beyond the reach of our legislation. Okay. They operate in our land.
Nolene, thanks very much for your time. I do appreciate it. That's Nolene Devaney there.
The Talk of the Northwest, the Greg Hughes Show on Highland Radio.
The Greg Hughes Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Take control of your finances with a debt consolidation loan today. Call 074 910 2126. Apply online through our app or in office.
Hey folks, step into style at Grant's Shoes Buncrana. Fitting shoes for nearly 100 years. Big winter sale now on. Discover the latest trends for men, women and kids, all under one roof. Quality footwear that speaks volumes. Echo, Skechers, Bugatti, Una Healy, Riker, Clarks and many more. Grant's Shoes Buncrana. Big winter sale now on. Visit us today on Main Street Buncrana or check us out online. grantsshoes.com.
Stay warm this new year with Homeland's mega deals. There's the £104 flow gas propane cylinder, now €99, save €10. Cozy Home cold briquettes, buy 5 get 1 free. Cozy Home kiln dried hardwood crate, now €249, save €50. All this and more in store and online at homeland.ie until January 21st.
With TUI, there's more choice than you think. Beach days or a city break. Fly from your local airport. Of course. Number of nights? Take your pick. And with the TUI sale now on, tailor your trip with more options and more choice. TUI. Book online, in store or on the app. Terms and conditions apply.
Save 17% on the Loganair Tartan sale with promo code WINTER17. Book now at loganair.co.uk. T/Cs and exclusions apply, subject to availability.
It's here. Our new primetime schedule is now live. Start your day with the Naughty Alarm Clock, 6:30 to 9 a.m. Then the Greg Hughes Show, 9 till 11. From 11 a.m, John Breslin on Around the Northwest will keep you entertained up to 1 p.m. Followed by lunchtime news, 1 to 1:30. Afternoons of change with the Jive Time with David James, 1:30 to 3:30. And the home stretch with Danny and Anya, 3:30 to 5:30. Stay informed with main evening news, then finish the workday strong with the Power Hour with Ivan Borland, 6 to 7 p.m. Your weekday lineup now on air. Evening and weekend shows remain unchanged.
Sometimes women in particular are increasingly using AI to fix imperfections, says a listener, such as thinning hair, uneven skin or wrinkled clothes in professional photos. That's not a wrong thing, but what you're referring to is wrong. But how do you balance the good versus the bad of AI? Well, people are entitled to do whatever they want with their own images, is how I'd balance that. And conversely, no one is entitled to do anything to somebody else's image. So that's how I would sort that out. I've noticed that whitewashing of images of my friends of colour is a default setting on AI. A caller says the only real way to stop AI images is to go after the top man, Elon Musk. If he doesn't do something about it, he should be charged with facilitating child exploitation images. On manners, I totally agree with that man. Good manners is free to everyone. Having worked in the food industry for many years, there's nothing nicer than a please and a thank you. It's so disappointing to see and hear ads before Christmas to remind the general public to be kind to retail staff. Should this not be a norm for everyone? I think those ads you were talking about were for nighttime, the nighttime economy. If I'm not mistaken, I think John voiced them, and that was really asking people to be kind to servers behind bars and stuff. But you may well be right. Sharon, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Right, now, what's your experience of manners and courtesy?
Well, it's just, I'm a bit nervous about talking, actually, because I've never been talked on a radio station.
Don't you worry
before.
about that, Sharon. Take your time. There's no panic and you're doing well.
But I notice when I've been standing at bus stops, I'm a bus user, and, people pushing on in front of you, when you've been standing there. And I'm not talking about younger people or older people, but both, And, if I saw a woman with a pram or a young child, I would let her go. I wouldn't feel entitled to get on the bus first. But, I've seen it sort of, nearly knocking people down. And, when you go to get off the bus, you can be blocked, from getting off the bus. And sometimes it doesn't matter because you're not in a hurry. But, everybody there's like a mass push, to get off the bus. So I just think there could be a bit more manners. And the bus drivers, they're great, And most people say thank you to the bus drivers.
We do, don't we? Thank you, driver. Yeah. It's just really, I suppose, people are locked in. They want to make sure they get a seat. They want to make sure they get off first. And if that means barging and past you or jostling you, well, then so be it.
Yeah.
And then if they went then to go on and say thanks to the driver, it's kind of a bit of a contradiction. But that's another just area of manners and courtesy that we could improve on, Sharon.
And I've seen it in shops as well, where maybe you've loaded up your shopping and, used one of those, maybe in a bigger shop, like one of those scanners, and, to sort of help get through the queues, and you've loaded all your shopping up, and then you're going to put it in a bag, and then maybe a member of staff stands behind you saying, come on now, if you could all just, pack your bags as you scan, and then everybody stared at you in the queue. And, but I would never reply back or say anything because I just think it's not worth the energy, when somebody might be having a bad hair day, and then you can be in other shops where there's nobody there, nobody in the actual shop, except yourself. There's a few sort of small shops maybe that, and when you go to buy something, the person won't, they just keep staring at the floor and sort of tittering along a shelf, and it's just bad manners, I think.
And I do understand that sometimes people can have bad hair days, but at the end of the day, too, we all do try and put on a brave face, don't we? I mean, sometimes I've felt like absolute crap going into a shop, but you do like to say, oh, thank you very much. Do you know what I mean? So I suppose that's a two-way street. Everyone can have bad days for different reasons. And do you find, Sharon, that this is kind of widespread, or are we talking about maybe one or two instances that you come across in a week, for example?
I think it's quite widespread, but then you get the exception where, some people in shops, well, I live in a small village called Muffin. Most of the shops around here, everybody's just anybody that serves she's just like lovely, you know, and the shops can be quite crowded sometimes, like, you know, like, and you know, everybody seems to be respectful, you know, and you know, it's the same in some bigger towns, you know, it just depends on the shop, you know, there just seems to be an air in some shops that the customers don't matter. That's what you sort of, that you're annoying sort of somebody. I know it's all self-service in quite a lot of places, you know, and but just where there are people, you know, in shops that, you know, that you're just a nuisance because you're like a customer, you know. And I see some older people really struggling, and you know, like I would help somebody like that in the shop, you know, even though maybe, you know, because they can't get their shopping on quick enough, their bag, you know. And you sort of think, well, it wouldn't take much to help them, instead of saying, now, come on, could you hurry up? You know?
Yeah, I get you.
That's just me, like.
Yeah, and listen, sometimes we get locked in and we don't realise, and this conversation might make us all change our behaviour a little bit. Sharon, you did amazing. Thank you so very much indeed. Have a great day. Thanks. Hello and thanks seems to be so hard for people to say. Another, the staff in shops should speak and acknowledge their customers. I find this to be the difference between small and larger stores. I find that it's the managers in suits who don't acknowledge you. You know, I would have frequented a shop in the past that was very friendly, and a new manager was brought in. You know where, like, come on, everything's so big. Come on up here. You know what I mean? All like, you know, trying to be all efficient and blah, and unaware that the customer is getting this vibe of panic, right? You know, and you could see over time the attitude of the staff changing, because this person, the supervisor, I presume that he or she was, all of a sudden was like, you know, trying to be just, it felt like an uncomfortable space to be in. So I think it does start from the top down. Okay, back after these.
The Greg Hughes Show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000. No hidden fees or charges. Is 2026 the year you move into your dream home? Call 074 910127 or email mortgage@letterkennycu.ie.
Bathroom blues got you down? Crawford Tiles has the cure. Our January sale is now on. Huge savings on tiles, bathware and wood flooring at prices you won't believe. Back-to-wall toilets, €149. Freestanding baths, €759. Vanity units, €179. All tiles in stock, 20% off. Taps, showers, mirrors, we're practically giving them away. Don't miss the sale of the century at Crawford Tiles Castlefin, 91-43942.
It's your last chance to enter the Donegal Silage Competition with Homeland and Nutrius Animal Feeds. Entries are closing soon, so hurry. Entry is free and includes 5 categories: dairy, beef, sheep, round bale and new entrant. First prize is a €300 voucher. Second prize a €200 voucher in each category. For full details, visit homeland.ie. Closing date January 16th.
It's a pinch yourself lotto jackpot of an estimated €5.2 million. Play responsibly, in-store, in-app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
Here, would you look at Eco Enda? He's only after going and getting himself one of the new Skoda EVs.
First he went vegan, then he got solar panels, now this.
I'm sure he'd buy anything as long as he can get a grant for it.
Must be from that county beside Monaghan.
The new fully electric Skoda range. The kind of cars that get the neighbours talking. But only if you're quick. Check availability at skoda.ie. Skoda, let's explore.
Skoda. Your local Skoda dealer is DMG Motors, Clar Road, Donegal Town. Telephone 074 9721396.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenny's. Are you ready to save big? The McElhenny's winter sale is here with up to 50% off your favourite designer brands. Shop in store or online at mcelhennys.com.
Cloudy and dry for most with patchy light rain and drizzle. Generally dry for the day with clear skies and some sunny spells too. Turning cloudy again through the afternoon with outbreaks of rain and drizzle, moving eastwards through the evening. Temperatures today of 3 to 5 degrees. Right, it's been 25 years in the making, I suppose you could say. But the EU-Mexico trade agreement will go before MEPs in the European Parliament in Strasbourg on Friday. Is that right, MEP Kieran Mullooly?
Well, not quite, Greg. Good morning to you. Good morning to your listeners.
It's up for a vote on Friday.
Yeah. So just to explain, to be very clear about this, there are 2 votes which are required for this to actually go through. So the second vote is the MEPs. That's me. The week after next, Greg, in Strasbourg. Not happening this week. No vote, no agreement will go through this week. This week, what's happening is the member states are coming together. It's not even the ministers, it is the ambassadors of Ireland and the other 25 member states who will discuss this on Friday and and ask for a written decision over the weekend from Ireland. So a letter comes back to the Taoiseach on Saturday, and he must sign it, yes or no, by Monday to indicate the member states' position.
Which is inevitable. Ireland will back this deal because Italy are going to back this deal as well, and it will be framed that concessions have been made, derogations have been extended, and we don't want to damage our relations in Europe. It's going to pass anyway. The writing's on the wall. The vote might as well take place right now because that's exactly how it's going to go.
Well, I heard that speech, Greg, not from you, but from other people on the 10th of December, the 15th of December, and you know what? On the 19th of December, it all fell apart. And on this occasion, I'm predicting there will be other unexpected events in the next couple of days. And I'll tell you why, Greg. Because the deal that was put together yesterday for the Italians is nothing short of a 3-card trick. What they've announced is they're going to bring an additional 45 billion euro back into the cap situation over the next 7 years. But you know what? Every farmer in Donegal knows this, Greg. That 45 billion euro was taken out of the cap package in July. In fact, at that stage, they took 97 billion out of the package. Now they're putting back in 45. Farmers won't be fooled by this. And there's a second problem.
Well, farmers don't have to be fooled by it, though. It just has to be an agreement between representatives of European countries and enough MEPs.
Well, I have to be fair to Minister Martin Hayden. I don't know if you saw his statement this morning, Greg. He has actually pointed out this disparity. Martin Hayden has said already this morning, he sees exactly what's going on here. They reduced the budget in July. Now they've put it back. We're still short of where we were. And I can read very clearly from the Minister of Agriculture, he's not happy with it either.
No, but at the same time, Micheál Martin is giving it the soft sell in China.
Well, he certainly has been talking from both sides of his mouth, Greg. And this is where it gets interesting politically, because I've been speaking in the last few days to independent members of the government. Remember these people who voted to go with Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, Marion Harkin, Kevin Boxer-Moran, and the likes of Sean Kenny? I've been speaking to some of them and to their supporters. They are saying they've been told the vote will be no from Ireland. So if Micheál Martin goes ahead after his soft speaking in China and votes yes, I believe we'll have a much more serious issue next Monday in this country than just Mercosur. We'll be facing a new election.
Okay. Joe Sweeney's chair of the Donegal IFA. Joe, the consequences of this, listen, I know it's journalism. I was listening to RT this morning and they were talking about how post-Brexit, everyone said our beef exports to the UK would plummet. Well, and maybe Mersecourt could be good. It's a nonsense argument because, firstly, you know, the UK doesn't produce enough beef. They need beef. The EU is somewhat awash with beef, so we're going to literally be competing for shelf space. So it's in my view, I could be wrong. I see it as a completely flawed counter argument. Joe Sweeney, you're in no doubt that Mersecourt would be the death knell for many in the industry, if not the industry as a whole. No, Joe's not there. Sorry, Joe's gone. I'll put the same question to you whilst to bring Joe back in, Kieran.
I was kind of amused by this yesterday, this argument, Greg. You don't have to tell the fishermen in Donegal what Brexit did, do you? Do people understand what Brexit did? We know quite well. They lost millions.
But we are seeing decent beef exports. It hasn't had, but it's apples and oranges. Sorry, I'll come back to you, Joe. Your feelings on if Mercosur will be passed by the European countries on Friday, and if it is, and if it's passed by the MEPs, you're in no doubt it has a very negative impact on the Irish farming industry.
Yeah, it's going to destroy the farming industry here. It's probably the first year we ever seen a return for the food that's produced, and if Mercosur goes through, that's going to be just taken away, and it's going to wipe out all the good work that has been done. Because for generations, income was poor and farmers were not making what they should have made. And this was the first year ever, and now it's going to be all turned back on its head again and just set right back where it come from.
I was looking at some statistics which show less than 5% of those in Irish farming now are under 35. There's as many over 65 almost as there are in the 35 to 65 category. Are we trying to bail a sinking ship here?
No, I don't believe so. Okay, we've lost a generation. The average farmer at the moment is 59 years of age in Ireland. But at the same time, if there was money to be made, there's still plenty of people looking to do it. But sure, they cannot make a living on it. And this was the first year that you could say, yeah, there was a living to be made in agriculture and food and beef production, sheep production, and that it's just going to be just turned right round again if this deal goes through, because they're going to import that meat. And it's going to just take away. We can't produce the food at the cost.
The IFA are attending the Independent Ireland Merciacre protest in Athlone on Saturday, the 10th of January. Why Athlone? Is this not something that should be locking down the streets of Dublin if it's that important? No harm to Athlone.
I'll come in on that, Greg.
Yeah, go on.
If I can. As the organisers. Firstly, we knew there was work going on behind the scenes to try and do a deal with Italy. We knew there is no Dáil sitting this week, or indeed not until the end of next week. So we chose to proceed this week, not in front of Leinster House, but nobody there, Greg, but in a central location in the Midlands of Ireland, which is suitable for everybody to attend. I'm thrilled to see a bus, for instance, from Inishowen confirmed for Saturday morning, coming into Athlone at 11 o'clock. I'm thrilled to hear from Councillor Michael Clark of Independent Ireland that there's 220 tractors coming in convoy in their own group from Donegal, Sligo and Leitrim on Saturday morning. For a lot of these farmers would not even be able to go to Dublin. That's a fact. And that's why it's in Athlone.
Yeah, no,
I
get you, and maybe it make more of it. It's just whether the media turns up and what kind of coverage it gets over the weekend. Because, I mean, that is where I suppose some of the impact comes from. Kieran, is there a statement from the Lowry crew in relation to Merciacre to sort of threaten the government with pulling support if they vote in favour of Merciacre? Because the Irish government's in a tricky wicket if they are seen to go against the big boys.
Absolutely. And the answer is there's no statement. But I know from speaking to councillors who work with the three independents, this is a day-to-day contact that's going on. And the three independent TDs have, as recently as last Friday, Saturday, were telling us through their contacts that the vote would be no. Yesterday, I can tell you, Greg, that we were told from that grouping again that Martin Hayden would oppose the moves today at the agriculture meeting in Brussels. If it turns around on Friday that the European Irish ambassador to Europe, Angela Donohoe, gets up at that meeting and says her instructions are from Ireland to vote yes, or the letter is sent out, as I said, comes to Micheál Martin's desk when he gets back from China Saturday, he votes yes, there will be a major political problem on Monday.
So do you want
There's no way around this. Farmers know this.
I'm not a gambler, but do you want a €50 charity wager? I believe Ireland will vote for it, and I will.
I don't believe so. I honestly don't believe so, because I think it would create a major electoral issue.
Right. Okay. We shall see.
But I have to say, Greg, the protest is important. It would be very dangerous for this government, or indeed Europe, to ignore a protest by over 10,000 farmers. The will of the people is important here,
Understood.
And that's why we're showing our solidarity with the farming community on Saturday.
Councillor, MEP Kieran Mullooly, thank you for your time. Joe Sweeney, Chair of Donegal IFA. I'm sure you'll encourage any members who can to get down to this protest in Athlone finally, and thanks for joining us as well too, Joe.
Thank you, Greg.
Look after yourself. Thanks.
Right.
We'll be back after the news.
The Greg Hughes Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans made easy. Apply online or through our app today and get the funds straight into your current account.
McGowan Hearing, one of the longest established audiologists in the Northwest, now have weekly clinics in Letterkenny, Buncrana and Carndonagh. Book your free hearing aid consultation at one of these clinics or with audiologist Darren McGowan in your own home. Call 07191 00208 or visit mcgowanhearing.com.
Mace Ballymacool is now open at the Gatehouse, Ballymacool, Letterkenny. We're here for you 7 days a week from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Pop in for a fresh Bewley's coffee, enjoy your hot and cold deli, and explore our full grocery and bakery range, plus off licence. Mace Ballymacool, your new local convenience store, now open.
Imagine sinking into a perfect comfort every night. At Restex Beds, we believe a better sleep means a better life. Choose from our vast range of quality mattresses and find the one that's perfect for you. Restex Beds, Mountaintop Letterkenny. Leave the rest to us.
With 56 post offices across Donegal from Lifford to Letterkenny and an award-winning Irish customer service team, An Post Money is the only current account that's truly local. Start your financial year the right way. Pop in to your local post office or download the An Post Money app today. An Post Money, making better happen. Terms and conditions apply. A monthly maintenance fee applies. An Post is authorised by the Minister for Finance to provide payment services and is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland in the provision of such services.
If you're feeling unwell, Clinic 45 is now open in Letterkenny, providing expert care with a wide range of medical services, including blood tests, vaccines, minor injuries and prescriptions. Consultations are just €45. Clinic 45 now open Monday to Friday at Fort Lynn House in Fort Breachill Park, Letterkenny, opposite the new Duns. No appointment needed. See clinic45.ie.
Something new is coming to your afternoons on Highland Radio. The Home Stretch with me, Anya Sweeney.
And me, Danny O'Carroll. Great music, plenty of laughs and crack.
We've got challenges, chats and the kind of show you'll want to stick around for.
The Home Stretch, weekday afternoons from 3:30 to 5:30. Come and join us.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donald Kavanagh at the news desk. Funeral arrangements have been announced for Ardra businessman Stephen McCahill, who will be laid to rest on Saturday following a funeral mass at 12 noon in the Church of the Holy Family, Ardra. Mr McCahill, who was killed at his home in Beha earlier this week, was remembered by his family for his lifelong dedication to communities across southwest Donegal. They said his legacy will endure through the many people and organisations he supported. Meanwhile, 32-year-old Michael Maloney of Luckross Point in Ardra appeared last night at a special sitting of Letterkenny District Court, charged with Mr McCahill's murder. He was remanded in custody to appear in court again on Monday next via video link. The Donegal Sexual Abuse and Rape Crisis Centre is expressing grave concern about the proliferation of AI apps to alter pictures, particularly in light of a current trend to take existing pictures of real people, particularly women, and manipulate them to make the subjects naked or suggestively dressed. It's become a particular feature on the X platform through its AI feature Grok. On today's Greg Hughes Show, the Abuse and Rape Crisis Centre manager Nolene Devaney said there needs to be a swift response from government to outlaw this, as the response from X, she believes, has been wholly inadequate.
They're not policing it themselves. They're waiting for humans to report it. They can actually police themselves, but they're not doing this. They're not stepping up. For people who are experiencing this, the psychological harm that they are experiencing is quite similar to what it would be if they actually experienced sexual abuse in person. So the deep pornography is targeting their reputation as well and makes them feel as though they've lost control. And when we talk about sexual violence, it's all about control. This is taking it to a new level.
Gardaí in Donegal have seized a vehicle after a dangerous driving incident in the Quigley's Point area. The incident occurred on Saturday night last. Members of the Buncrana Roads Policing Unit attempted to stop a car that was being driven dangerously. The driver failed to comply, prompting Gardaí to deploy a stinger device. The vehicle was safely brought to a halt and subsequently seized. Further checks revealed that false registration plates had been attached to the car. Investigations are ongoing and a file is being prepared for court proceedings. RSA driving testers have voted in favour of going on strike. Members of the Forced Trade Union say their employer has failed to make sure testers are covered by the State Claims Agency while working. If the strike goes ahead, it could mean test wait times increase. Driving instructor Brenda Bulger says testers have to take motorists' word about being insured.
So when somebody goes in to do their driving test, they're given a declaration that they have to read and they have to sign it, and it states that they are fully insured and meet all the legal requirements to go out on the road and undertake the test. There's no question as to providing evidence that they are actually insured.
The government says it still has concerns about the Mercosur trade deal ahead of a crucial EU vote on Friday. The deal would create the world's largest free trade zone, but Ireland and France remain strongly opposed despite EU claims it would boost trade. Thousands of farmers are expected to attend a rally in Athlone this coming Saturday to protest the deal. We understand over 200 tractors from Donegal are travelling to attend. Ireland's South MEP Cynthia Ní Murchu says she will not support the agreement.
It's a no, no, no for me. It always was. It always will be. Although I did vote for the safeguards before Christmas when we voted in Strasbourg. Look, the listeners know and the voters know I'm a stickler for standards. And I'm very concerned, not just about the farming standards, but about the human health standards here.
Weather forecast, cloudy and dry for most with patchy light rain and drizzle further east at first today. Generally dry for the day with clear skies and some sunny spells as well. Some showers of rain and possibly some sleet or snow later on this evening. Top temperatures 3 to 5 degrees Celsius. That's Highland Radio News. We're back with news headlines again at 11 o'clock. In the interim, check all the day's news on highlandradio.com. But for now, from the news team, good morning.
The obituary notices this Wednesday morning, January 7th. The death has taken place of Elvie Hines, Cashel Park, Letterkenny. A gathering of Elvie's family and friends will take place at the Eternal Light Chapel of Rest, Mountain Top, Letterkenny, tomorrow from 6 o'clock until 8 o'clock. At the request of the deceased, a private cremation will take place. The death has occurred of Stephen McCahill Beha Ardra. His remains will repose at his home tomorrow and Friday from 11 o'clock until 9 o'clock. Funeral from there on Saturday morning at 11:30 for 12 noon Requiem Mass in the Church of the Holy Family Ardra, with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The family home is private on Saturday morning, please. People attending the wake are advised to park at Ardra GAA pitch or the Dolman Centre, Kilclooney, where a shuttle bus will be in operation. Stephen's funeral mass can be viewed live on the Church of the Holy Family Ardra webcam. Family flowers only. Donations in lieu if desired to the Irish Motor Neuron Disease Association, care of any family member. The death has occurred of Sean O'Kane, Galdonna, Manor Cunningham. Removal from Kelly's funeral home, Oakfield Rafo, this afternoon at 1 o'clock, going to his late residence in Galdonna, Manor Cunningham. Sean will repose at his late residence today from 1:30 until 9 o'clock and tomorrow from 11 a.m. until 9 p.m. The funeral cortege will leave his residence on Friday morning at 10:20, proceeding to St Eunan's Church, Rafo, for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, followed by burial in St Columba's Church Cemetery, Dromahul. Funeral Mass may be viewed online via the parish webcam. Family flowers only, please. If desired, donations to the Friends of Letterkenny University Hospital, care of any family member or Kelly's funeral directors. The death has occurred of Seamus O'Malley, Glanties, formerly of Rossmock, County Galway, reposing at his late residence in Glanties from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. today. House private after 9 o'clock for family prayers. Requiem Mass tomorrow at 12 noon in St Connell's Church, Glanties, with burial afterwards in the local cemetery. House private on the morning of the funeral. The funeral mass can be viewed live on churchservices.tv. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu, if wished, to the Oncology Unit, Letterkenny University Hospital. The death has taken place of Bernadette Maria Chambers, late of 8 Contham Road, Bernie Strabane. Funeral at Hood and Co. Undertaker's Funeral Home, 9 St Eugene Street, Newton Stewart, today at 1 o'clock, followed by interment in Ardstraw New Cemetery. The death has taken place of Robert George Niven, late of Grovemount Park, Derry. A private family cremation will take place. The house is strictly private. Family flowers only. Donations if desired to Foyle Hospice, Cancer Research and the RNLI. The death has taken place of Breed Heffernan, Factory Road, Derry Beg. Her remains will repose at her home today from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. House private after the rosary and on the morning of the funeral. Funeral Mass will take place tomorrow at 11 o'clock in St Columkille's Church, Knockfalla. Burial afterwards in Mahragallen Cemetery. The funeral mass can be viewed live on Kieran Rorty Funeral Director's Facebook page and on the church webcam. The death has occurred of Bridie McCarran at Nee Brennan, Meeting House Street, Rafo. Bridie will repose at her late residence, Meeting House Street, Rafo, today from 3:30 until 8:30. Rosaries at 8:30. The funeral cortege will leave her late residence tomorrow afternoon at 1:45, proceeding to St Eunan's Church, Raphoe, for 1 o'clock Requiem Mass, followed by burial in the adjoining cemetery. The funeral Mass may be viewed online via the parish webcam. Family flowers only. If desired, Bridie, who loved the celebration of Mass, would greatly appreciate any Masses offered for the happy repose of her soul. The death has taken place of Patricia Gallina, ní Fullerton, Black Farm, Buncrana. Patricia's remains are reposing at her late residence. Funeral from there tomorrow at 10:15, going to St Mary's Church, Cockhill, for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass with burial in the adjoining cemetery. Mass can be viewed live on churchservices.tv. Family flowers only. House private, please, from 10 o'clock tonight. The death has taken place of Catherine McGlynn, ní Maxwell, 24 Coleman Fold, Strabane, and formerly of Iona Villas, Strabane. Requiem Mass is ongoing at St Mary's Church, Melmount. A private cremation is afterwards in Lakelands Crematorium. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. Donations in lieu of flowers, please, to the Pulmonary Fibrosis Northern Ireland, care of Quigley's Funeral Directors. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
In winter, it's harder to get the steps in. The couch looks so tempting, but every step counts for your health. And with the Irish Life GAA Healthy Club Steps Challenge, you can get active and give your local GAA club the chance to win a share of €30,000 in funding. Just download the free My Life app, join the challenge, and take your first step today. A better life with Irish Life. The My Life app is provided by Irish Life Financial Services. Terms and conditions apply. See irishlife.ie/mylife.
Where your opinion matters. The Greg Hughes Show on Highland Radio.
Good morning, Greg. Could you please give a shout out to my Auntie Mary? Could you give a shout out to my Auntie Mary Horn, listening in from East Kilbride in Scotland? She loves your show and listens every day. Wish them all a very happy New Year from her niece Lisa and all the family in Maharabeg, Burnfoot. Thank you. So a very big shout out to Auntie Mary Horn. Thank you for listening. We really appreciate it. Brian, good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
Not too bad at all. We were talking about AI and the flouting of what appears to be our laws, though they're not enforced right. You've been reflecting on this. What's your view?
Since the introduction of AI, Greg, I thought it has been a dangerous application in the wrong hands. But it does need to be policed in some sort of way. But in reference to the wee message I sent you, sexual exploitation, in my view, has always been there right through history. And those that are in power always seem to be able to control I'm looking for the right word. They've always been able to control the protection, self-protection of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a strong personal belief that although it's there and it has been there for centuries, I think it's down to a person's self-respect for themselves and respect for others. It's accessible, but who does actually access it?
Yes, I know exactly what you're saying. You're saying, so whilst, listen, there's lots of bad stuff we could do, but there's something in us that says we don't do that. But I think it's a very interesting point that you make, and it reminded me of that story I was telling of the journalist. In other words, people who disagreed with her, whether it's on the issue of AI or anything, it's fair game to bully her off the internet by making inappropriate images of her. At what point, why would someone not say, right, this is not morally the right thing to do? I agree, we are certainly losing some of that. I think it's this massive division politically and in terms of, people's different opinions on different things. Brian, do you think that's feeding into it? That, the gloves are off? If you're my enemy, Brian, it doesn't matter what I do to take you down.
Yeah, I agree with that, because there's no fear of retribution anymore in society. There's no deterrent. There may be slight deterrent, but what deterrent is actually there for anybody that flouts the law, whether it is exploiting AI sexually or anything in respect to law? to me, respect has totally gone off society, and like as a grandparent now, I fear for my grandchildren growing up into this present society.
I really do. And I was talking yesterday about how we seem to be hurtling towards another conflict, that they happen over history, you know, and have for thousands of years. And it just feels like, then are we socially, as part of that, is there a need for a reset? And I'm sounding like a conspiracy theorist, and I don't mean to, Brian, but something is going to have to change. The world's hurtling in a certain direction. People's attitudes are hurtling in a certain direction. And you just wonder, what is the end game in it all?
Well, I'm sorry, I've lost you a wee bit there, Greg.
No, okay, that's not your fault, that's my fault. Go on. Oh, it was the line.
I honestly do believe that the world is going to hell in a handcart.
Yeah.
I believe in that there has to be a massive reset somewhere. There's just no respect. The younger generation or the present generation, the largest majority, I can't say everybody because it's not the case. I do witness a lot of people with a lot of good respect, but the majority I see just has no respect. You can't challenge children anymore. Teachers can't challenge them. They have no fear of the law. There's no respect for police forces. There's just no respect for nothing. But basically, I think the young ones have no respect for themselves.
Okay, Brian, listen, thank you very much for that. I do appreciate your opinion.
The Greg Hughes Show on Highland Radio. Text WhatsApp 086 60 25000. Call 074 91 25000 or email comments at highlandradio.com.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Wednesday the 7th of January. You're playing on the blue sheet for the daily prize of €800. The reference number is S8. It's game number 2. The numbers are 82, 34, 26, 61, 35, 41, 33, 18, 32, and finally 7. Phone your claim to 9104833 before midnight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Further lines added in McElhenney's biggest ever winter sale. Grab your bargain of the season with up to 50% off fashion, accessories, homeware and much more. Explore the collection online at mcelhenneys.com or visit us in store for this unmissable sale event. Hurry, the McElhenney's winter sale must end soon.
The electorate for Shannon University elections has expanded. Thousands more graduates from higher education institutions across Ireland are now eligible to vote.
If you are an Irish citizen with a degree from an included institution, you can apply to be added to the register. The closing date is the 26th of February.
To find out more, please visit shanadvoter.ie. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
The Three Amigos, Jimmy Buckley, Robert Mazzell and Patrick Feeney are back on tour. This award-winning show is full of laughter, music and song. See The Three Amigos live. Clonry Hotel, Letterkenny, Monday, January 26th. Tickets priced $39.50, now on sale at hotel reception and ticketmaster.ie, where extra charges may apply. The Three Amigos live. This show is not to be missed.
The Greg Hughes Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. New year, new wheels. Drive into 2026 with a low-rate car loan. Fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or visit today.
Donna Marie Doherty, of course, is a journalist here at Highland Radio and presenter too at times, and was posting on social media on your
learn
on
from
your
the best.
Yeah, exactly. On the TikTok account at Donna Marie, about your experiences as a driver of a vehicle with L plates, even though you're not a learner driver. And
Yes.
we says, right, get in here. This is some interesting observations, Donna Marie.
It is now. First of all, I did check because there's somebody commenting saying that I shouldn't be driving with L plates without the learner driver on. But
no, that's not true.
No, it's grand. So it is. So essentially, there's L plates on my car now because my partner's learning to drive and he's getting ready for the test. And I noticed whenever we were on with him at the start, people have such short patience. He's getting honked, beeped, overtaken dangerously. And I was like, gosh,
is this because there's an L plate there, or because maybe he's just being a little bit more cautious approaching junctions and pulling away, or do you know what I mean? Are people less considerate of the fact that he's learning to drive, or is it the L plates that rage people?
I thought at the start, I was like, God, the people have wild wee patience. But then there's times where I've been driving myself and I'm getting beeped and overtaken, and like I wasn't before the plates went up. So I just thought it was really interesting, and it's funny. There was comments on that video, and there was one, and it was like, "There's no aggression. People essentially are imagining it," but I don't know if that's the case. And then I had another post up about like end plates in the snow and ice to just remember, that's probably people's second or third time driving in them conditions. Or first. But what really struck me was the people who disagreed were quite aggressive in the comments. There was racist comments, which was surprising because, I'm white. I don't know how that even came into play. But like the shortness of patience was there on somebody talking about it, and on the roads, that can become very dangerous because, if somebody especially if it's a learner driver and they get spooked, it's so easy to...
But if someone takes issue with what you've said there, which is reasonable, okay, someone's learning to drive, these are the rules of the road, but they sort of come at you in rather an aggressive way, then these are the people that are doing 160 kilometres per hour in an 80 kilometre zone. These are the people that are going around the corner on the wrong side of the road that will take a family of five out. You would imagine, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We were driving the last night, and it was 100 road, and this was before the icy weather, and Liam was doing, I want to say 85, and two cars absolutely flew by the car in front of him, went around the corner on the wrong side of the road, and it's terrifying. And it's funny seeing somebody learning to drive, and it's the first time I've seen somebody learn how to drive since I've known how to drive, and seeing the shock and the reality of how suddenly understanding how easily collisions can happen and how you can be trying to do your best, but the aggression with
85 would be seen by some as a slow driver that can cause collisions. Really, that's the truth. There's a lot of pressure to get up to the 100. If the truth be told. And the bibbing and the aggression, is that more around town or?
Letterkenny, I've noticed it quite a bit. So it has at the roundabouts, at the Polestar roundabout, and this is whenever it was me. Like there wasn't sometimes like it happens, you stall the car and you go to take off, and it's awful whenever it happens. That didn't happen. So it didn't. Like we were just going with the traffic, and oh my goodness, they were so close then that like in the rearview mirror I could see their face, and they were so angry. They were effing and blinding.
But that has to be reflective in their life though. There has to be something going on there that you can become so impatient, because we all know, you've seen that situation, haven't you, where someone takes you over like a mad person and you think, my God, they're so lucky to be alive. And then you come up to a set of traffic lights at roadworks,
right back behind them again,
and you're two cars behind them or directly behind them. And you were thinking, what was that impatience? What was that aggression? What was that dangerous driving all about? Because here we are, both sat at the exact same set of traffic lights.
It is. And I think whenever like we're in this job where we talk to families who've lost people on the roads, and you always talk about driving whenever you're tired, drink driving on your phone, not wearing your seatbelt. But a lack of patience, I think it's really understated how dangerous it is.
Okay, so have you seen this on the roads? 08660 25,000, or are you impatient? What bothers you so much about slow drivers? And don't come at me saying they cause crashes, because you're the person that's overtaken them. So you know the risk because you're highlighting the risk, but you're still taking the risk. Because we were talking earlier on in the show about manners and courtesy, right? This falls directly into that as well, by pure coincidence, that someone doesn't go, right, there's someone learning the ropes there, I'm going to give them a little bit of leeway. Because people driving actually learning driving instructors get this.
Yes.
And they're in cars that are emblazoned with the Donna Marie's School of Motoring, like,
Yeah.
and people are still abusive towards them.
Because Daddy's a driving instructor and he sees it all the time. I was chatting to him about it and he was like, yeah, that's standard. That's what's going to happen. He says there's times he says people will overtake and they'll have the big face on them and they'll say it's him driving and they'll be like, oh, and they'll wave and try to pass over it. But
so some of the comments then, I mean, obviously there's a lot of bots that just comment because you're a woman, right? So it's an excuse for someone to feel empowered in their basement
absolutely.
to say something to you. But what were some of the counter arguments that you come across then to this quite? I would think it's pretty sensible post.
So this is a mixture of the ones from the ICE and from the L plates. One of them, which I agree with, is the most dangerous driver on the roads is an unconfident driver. L plates are not. So I think that.
But where are you supposed to learn how to drive?
That's it exactly. Yeah. One is I'm on an L. I'm not thick. It's not hard to drive on ice. Pull over so the roads are well salted. If it's 1 Celsius below, drive on to F. I don't care. We've all had to do it. It builds character.
So in other words, this is your rite of passage. It toughens you up to be a driver. The beeps and the waves and the fingers.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. And I was shocking. And there was a one that was saying that he is not used to driving. It's somebody from the town that I know, and they said that the pressure that he felt with cars up behind him and he wasn't confident. And he went off there and he took out a chunk of the car and he's like, if I had just kept my cool and kept my head, like he got nervous. And that's, it's unfortunate.
And do you know the funny thing is the people that are getting angry actually probably think they're good drivers.
Of course.
Ironically, they believe
Blind
that
confidence.
they are the good drivers in this situation, that they are the ones that are right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's frightening.
Again,
It's frightening.
you see, this is a little bit like illegal dumping or people who don't pick up after their dogs. I'd think you could talk about this till the cows come home, Brazilian or Irish, and I don't think it's going to change people.
No.
Now we're going to keep doing it. Don't get me wrong, but I just think if you're inclined to go up a back road and dump your rubbish, or if you're inclined to look at your dog do a poo on the footpath, or if you're inclined to bib behind someone or flash the lights with L plates on, I don't think all the talk in the world's going to change it, because I think that's part of their character.
No, I
now,
100%
thankfully,
agree.
they're not the majority and they're a small minority, but I just don't think they can be changed.
I know, like in this case, though, they're the minority, but they're quite literally the loudest.
The loudest. And on that awful pun, we'll leave it. All right, let's see what the listeners think. Dan, thank you very much, Donna Marie.
The Greg Hughes Show on Highland Radio. Text WhatsApp 086 60 25000. Call 074 91 25000 or email comments at highlandradio.com.
You've been using those numbers on the issue of farming. Are we ever going to wake up to the fact that we have no leadership in this country? They're all puppets and have sold us out time after time. And Micheál Martin is about to do it again. Hi, Greg. You asked some of your local county councillors would they be supporting the Mercer Corps march on Saturday. They're all keeping a very low profile when it comes to this subject. It's an easy one for councillors or even certain TDs to comment on, because you can sort of go, no, this is terrible, I'm dead against it, and your party in Dublin still vote a certain way, So I wouldn't be surprised if councillors are quite vocal on it. Are there any plans for a protest in Letterkenny for those who can't make it to Athlone? Judging by the comments there, they want just a big show in Athlone, and that's what they're focused on. In relation to manners, I was in a restaurant over the weekend and was very annoyed to see the person in charge question the young lad who spent a few extra minutes at our table chatting to us. It really put me off going in there again. Taking the time to talk to people, very important indeed. Hi, Greg. Manners are easy carried. That lady is right indeed. A caller says, a wise man I met in the hospital told me, be nice to everybody on the way up because you could meet them all on the way down. Hi, Greg. Any update on what the Ballabafay to Letterkenny road is like? All the main roads, obviously, you have to exercise your own personal caution. All the roads, the main roads, and most of the back roads at this stage are pretty clear. So obviously, just caution, but the roads are pretty clear now at this point. Manners on buses. I went to Dublin a few times on the bus and nobody wants to let you sit beside them. They sit with their feet or bag up beside them. They're nearly huffing that you're looking for a seat and you paid and booked it. It creates a terrible atmosphere then on the bus. Yes, I wouldn't like that at all. Since COVID, I've noticed a huge upsurge in ill manners towards shop assistants, says the listener, which I think is horrible because they're such an important part of the working community. And I know I've worked in that space. My children have, or most of them, 2/3 of them have so far anyway. I went into a shop in Letterkenny on Sunday. The music was so loud you could barely hear yourself. Needless to say, I did not stay long. Where are the rules supervising acceptable levels? It could be the weekend staff wanting to bang out some tunes. Either it might not be company policy. I was in a restaurant over the weekend. No, I read that one. Okay. On the issue of AI, Elon Musk should be charged internationally with distribution of child abuse imagery. That'll soon put a shock in the rest to clean their crap up. If we started to hold the platform owner responsible for the platform, suddenly the internet would be a lot safer and cleaner. But that's not doable because he is incredibly powerful. He is very, very powerful. And he can target individuals. He can target governments. He is a very close ally of Donald Trump, in spite of the falling out they had. He, J.D. Vance, Donald Trump, 3 very powerful men, 3 very strong allies, and it's quite clear that government leaders do not want to take him on in the way that you're suggesting that he should. Thank you but I don't disagree with you. Thank you so much for all your comments. Keep them coming in.
The Greg Hughes Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Big plans, big dreams. Home improvement loans, borrow up to €80,000. Visit letterkennycu.ie today.
Us pigeons see everything when we're flapping around up here. Well, almost everything. See, burning certain fuels releases invisible toxic pollutants, which can trigger asthma and lead to serious illness. So, if you're going to light a fire in your home, make sure to use low-smoke fuel. Oh, and never wing it burning rubbish.
Choosing low-smoke fuel is better for all of us. Let's clear the air for everyone. And remember to clean chimneys and heating appliances at least once a year. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
I was in pain with my right hip, going to different countries on a flight. With the pain I was in wasn't really an option. I googled hospitals in Belfast and Kingsbridge came up.
Public patients in the Republic of Ireland can get rapid access to cross-border surgeries at Kingsbridge private hospitals in Belfast and Derry, with medical costs reimbursed by the HSE. Find out more at kingsbridgeprivatehospital.com/cross-border. Kingsbridge, your fast track to 5-star care. Terms and conditions apply.
Hegarty's Home Interiors Buncrana, the biggest direct importer of sofas, beds, mattresses and flooring in the Northwest. Best in-stock deals on selected sofas and corner sofas. Best in-stock deals on gas lift beds. Best in-stock on mattresses. Best in-stock deals on laminate flooring, semi-solid flooring and carpets. Full fitting service on carpets and wood flooring. With a free delivery service throughout the Northwest, including all of Northern Ireland. Hegarty's Home Interiors Buncrana. Always lower prices.
We all tend to push things out when it comes to our health. That's why, at Irish Life Health, we make it easy to act today. With 1 month free on our My Plan range for you and your family. So you can take charge of your well-being today. Search Irish Life Health 1 month free. A better life with Irish Life. Irish Life Health Track is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. 1 month free is equivalent to 8.33% discount over 12 months on new policies, starting January 1st to April 30th, 2026.
Now, consumers report spending on average $2,473 on their holidays, and 16% of holidaymakers faced issues while away. They include the likes of flight delays, reschedules, and lots of other statistics being released too by the Competitions and Consumer Protection Commission. Orla Delargy is Deputy Director of Communications. Good morning, Orla. Thanks so much for your time.
Good morning, Greg. Happy New Year to you and your listeners.
Another stat that I didn't mention, 1 in 3 holidaymakers travelled without insurance. Now, if the average is spending €2,470 on their holidays, it seems crazy, isn't it, that they aren't spending just a little bit more to protect themselves?
Well, yes, you make a good point there. And I suppose the reason why we're talking to consumers this morning is to say you are potentially about to spend a lot of money, and that makes you a bit vulnerable. And so there are things that you can do at the moment that protect yourself, protect your holiday, and can give you some peace of mind. And that is travel insurance, but also other things that you can do to protect yourself. So the first thing we would say to people is, like, do your research. You're going to see lots of ads now for very alluring holiday destinations. Don't click through on a social media ad and pay for your holiday that way, because you might get scammed. So do your research, come off social media, look for wherever it is that you want to go on the internet, see if they have a website and see whether that looks legitimate. But there's other things that you can do as well, like look at review sites like Trustpilot or Reddit, see what other consumers what their experience might have been of that holiday. So that's one thing.
And of course, that option always is there, and they're still very popular because there's an awful lot of what you're talking about being covered, and that's going into your local friendly travel agent, because then there are certain guarantees that wouldn't be there otherwise.
Absolutely, that is one way of doing it. And what we found was that about a quarter of people are opting to go for a package holiday. And the good news about that is that means that there are protections in place there. If something goes wrong in the event that there is an issue, your operator is responsible for making sure that you get to where you want to be and that your holiday is put into place or alternative arrangements are put in place. And that's very much on the operator. So you can kind of sit back and there is definitely peace of mind there. And also package holiday providers do have to have insurance in place in the event that their company goes under. That means that you'll be covered and brought home in the event that there's a problem. So booking a package is very much an option if you want some peace of mind there for additional coverage. The other thing, but what we found was that 3/4 of people are booking their holiday DIY. They're doing it themselves and they're booking all the elements separately. And you need to be very careful there in a couple of ways. One is watch out for your money. Be very careful if somebody's trying to pressure you into buying something, because that might be a red flag for a scam. But the other thing is, if you are using a travel platform, stay on that platform to make your payment. Don't be tempted off the platform onto, if somebody asks you to pay by Revolut or by a bank transfer, that's another red flag. If you transfer money out of your account into another one, it's gone and you're unlikely to get it back. If you use a debit card or a credit card, you have some protection there and your bank might be able to step in, do a chargeback and get some of your money back if there's been a problem. So don't be tempted into making a payment in a peculiar way. The other thing is, it's January. If you're booking for June, that's quite a long way away. So you might want to think about, protecting yourself in the event that something happens in the meantime, if a family member gets ill or something like that.
Well, that feeds into, Orla, if you don't mind me just interrupting there.
Go ahead.
I've spoken to people on this issue in the past, and they've booked their holiday and they intend to get travel insurance, but don't do so until they're about to leave. And what you're talking of there is, I presume, if you're going to if you're booking today for June, get your travel insurance from now. And I'm not sure how much of that it covers, but it certainly would cover more if something were to happen than if you were to, say, for instance, book it, a day or two before you actually travel, because there's more covered than people might imagine.
Absolutely, absolutely. If something arises, if you haven't bought your insurance and then something happens, you might find that it's too late to get the insurance in place. So, if there's an announcement made, and you do need to be a bit careful, because there are things that we do know that come up time and time again, like air traffic control strikes. Increasingly, there are like extreme weather events, and that can really, really upset your plans. But the thing is not to, if you are inclined to get insurance, lots of Irish people, it looks like, a third of us are traveling uninsured, and that's a bit of a roll of the dice with your holiday. So, do think about, consider whether or not you want to give yourself some peace of mind, and do shop around for your insurance, and don't go for the cheapest option, because you might find that that is very basic cover, and that you're not covered in the event of some extreme weather event. The best thing to do is, look at the terms and conditions, and that can feel quite intimidating. They can be quite long, but you could do word searches for the things that you're worried about, or you could even give your travel insurance provider a ring and ask them outright whether or not you're covered. And the other thing that we would recommend that people do is do get your European health insurance certificate, and that is free, and that does entitle you to basic healthcare. But just the basics, you might find in the event that something goes wrong that you aren't covered, for example, for your, being repatriated, being sent back home if you have a serious accident. And that can come into play if you're going to do something quite risky, like skiing or something else like that.
Okay.
So do
loads
consider
of
that.
further advice on the Competition and Consumer Protection Commission website as well. We've just pointed out some of the key issues that people have as flagged by this report. Thank you so much for your time, Orla.
Thank you so much, Greg.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for
Take
having us
care
on.
of yourself. Thank you for coming on. 08660 25,000. That's our WhatsApp and our text number. On the issue of driving, that conversation we were having there with Donna Marie. Why is slow driver not stopped by the Gardaí for driving slow? Because they only frustrate other drivers and force them into doing dangerous manoeuvres to get past them, but they don't force them into doing so. That person could sit back and wait for a safe opportunity to overtake. I don't necessarily buy into this being forced to be to drive dangerously. The most curious people on the road, I believe, are taxi drivers. There's crazy driving out there, definitely, says another caller. Right. Can I say good morning now to Councillor Micheál Colm McGillen-Asperg? Are you there? No, he isn't there. Okay, we'll come back to him in a moment. Right. Water. Our water is off in Buncrana and it was dirty and unsafe to use. The water now has clarity. Can we use the water now? Is it safe or is there bacteria in it? Well, let me give you an update on that from Uisce Éireann because they were in contact with us. Uisce Éireann is continuing efforts to lift the boil water notice in place for consumers on the Buncrana Slavery public water supply. Following mechanical issues encountered at the Buncrana Slavery water treatment plant, the notice was issued on Friday the 2nd of January to protect the health of consumers on the supply in consultation with the HSE. They go on to say about how important it is for them to get the water right. But they do say in the meantime, all customers on that water supply are advised to boil the water until further notice. So, unfortunately, even though you might judge that water to be clean, the HSE and Uisce Éireann are saying it is not yet clean enough for you to drink. Councillor Micheál Colm McGillen-Asperg, good morning to you. Thanks for joining me.
Imagine why. Agus Bianú why David Ligalier.
Now, 341 people are on this home help waiting list in Dunanal, County Donegal. It is always in the high hundreds. Well, not the high hundreds, but well into the hundreds, Micheál Colm. How did you get these figures and what made you look into this again?
Well, Greg, just further information that I've learned today is that that number has increased since yesterday. That number now has gone up to over 350 odd. And I suppose, look, Greg, I've been a councillor for nearly 12 years now, and I've been tacking quite a lot in relation to this. We are quite an aging population. So you would get people contacting you as they would contact other councillors, because I know Councillor Meehan has been doing a lot of work on this here, and I'm on the HSE board. And the unfortunate reality is that we have these figures, and you're correct to say that they're high in their hundreds. We should not have any benchmark that we accept. We shouldn't be accepting any treble figures, never mind double figures, or double figures, never mind treble figures. And I've been in contact on a regular basis with the HSE in relation to this, and I'd like to point out and give acknowledgement to the hard staff within the HSE who are trying to manage this, and also those who are out every single day, 7 days a week, doing what they are passionate about. But unfortunately, the sad reality of this is, and this I believe very strongly is the case, is that there's been a move, and we've seen this overall with the HSE, the downgrading of the HSE to allow that transition to move into the private sector, that we as a community, we as a public will accept any service at all. And that service, which the state, which Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, and supported by right-wing independents, want to see as the private market.
Just in relation to that, my understanding locally actually was that the HSE was trying to bring this stuff more in-house and to lean less on private service providers. You might have alternative information, but that was my understanding, and that's part of this problem. Also in Dublin, the capital, there are 0 waiting times for home help packages, and the HSE relies very much on the private sector down there to deliver these services. So I'm not contradicting what you're saying, but should we not be better utilising private services up here and go back some way to the way it was, so that we can get people out of acute hospitals and back into their communities, or get the extra hours for people? Because the way it is at the moment, people are effectively being told someone has to die before you get your home help. So I'm not quite sure it's exactly as you've outlined it, but you have the info. I obviously don't, Micheál.
Well, again, not to contradict you, Greg, most definitely not. And I appreciate the opportunity to talk about this, because it's hugely important to a lot of families out there. 350 plus people out there will be dependent heavily on people like me, people like you and others to fight their corner. And I do believe very much that there is the interest and the ideology being pushed by the Fianna Fáil from the Gael-led government to look to the private market. We've seen it in housing. We've seen it in the HSE. How many private hospitals are there now in Leitrim? And I do believe that the HSE, who are very much on the ground in Donegal, don't want to see it privatised. But unfortunately, that is what I strongly believe. I've been working very closely with Paul Murphy, the TD, in relation to this. And I'd like to acknowledge his help and support that he gives me for individual families within Donegal. But I do believe that ideology of neoliberalism, look, let the private market dictate and let the private market fill the void that's there. And for that to happen, we as a community, we as a public must be in a position that will accept anything, because the service has got that dire. There are fantastic people out there working day and night, delivering a service. And I believe that they're being undermined. Now, this is no reflection onto the individual men or women who are working in the private sector at the moment. That's not the argument. I'm talking about how I believe strongly that it's unmoral for anybody to make profit on people's health. So if I can, Greg, give you some examples at the moment. So at the moment, I'm working with an individual family who has a mother in hospital, where the individual family has all the requirement that they need at home, hoist, beds. The family have been trained in terms of tube feeding. There are other individual issues there that they're working towards understanding and learning. They want to see their parent at home and kept at home. It is, if we view people, unfortunately, if we view people in economics, it is economically more benefit for us to have people at home than long-term care.
But just in relation to that family who are having an awful time of it and needs their support, does it matter to them if the carers that come into their house are HSE employees or paid by the HSE in a private company? I'm not sure it does.
Well, look, Greg, I think when you're struggling or if you're in pain, we'll say you'll take whatever help that you can get because you're in pain. But if we want to see a service that is delivered out of care and passion and consideration, we need to make sure that people like you and me and others are fighting that neoliberal agenda that the government has, is to privatise. So hence, if somebody's homeless, they will take the private market over the private market at a drop of a hat because they can't get a house. And if we look at what the government is doing, especially since the 70s, that move to make sure that the private market is looked after. But going back to the individual family itself, I think it's an absolute disgrace that there's a high cost to the taxpayers in relation to keeping that individual in a bed in Leitrim General Hospital. There's also a situation where I had about 2 years ago, actually less, where there was a man who had to stay in hospital for nearly 2 years because there was no healthcare package able to be provided. And in fairness to this family, and I have to absolutely admire them and salute them because they fought it tooth and nail, that they wouldn't accept the private market because they fully understood, they wouldn't accept the private companies because they fully understood is that once you start accepting that, then the autonomous all start to fall.
No, I understand.
We want a government that provides a service to us that is driven out of empathy, that is driven out of passion and care for the individual and the families.
Yeah.
Not
Okay.
mentioning the mental health stress that this puts on individuals. And when we have a situation where the family wants to see their mother, their father, their uncle, their grandfather, grandmother, whatever, being cared for at home, and not maybe for our situation, if I can say, not in the community hospital, because really the community hospitals are full to capacity, but sent maybe 1 hour away. And a very unique situation for us here, Greg, is that because we're a Gaelic speaking community, and people who might find themselves in this situation and being forced into long-term care, maybe out to Dunfanaghy, or not Dunfanaghy, well, Dunfanaghy, or even out to Convoy, or Lissacanan, or other places, and where nobody there is maybe able to converse with them in their native language. And that journey that parents or that children or carers would have to make to see their loved ones, it's not acceptable.
No,
The
okay.
model of people want to stay at home is a model that we need to push, a model that has empathy and care and compassion at the heart of it. And unfortunately, Greg, I have to be honest with you, and I make no bones about it because I'm a communist and I'm against the privatisation of any care, but having somebody's health put profit into somebody else's bank account is totally wrong.
There's always
and we
someone
must
making
oppose
money
it.
down the line, but I do understand where you're coming from. Thank you very much for your time. Back with more shortly.
The Greg Hughes Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Take control of your finances with a debt consolidation loan today. Call 074 910 2126. Apply online through our app or in office.
Great news for furniture buyers. The Cooney's Home Interiors stock disposal sale continues this week. With so much stock still available, they've cut prices even lower on a huge selection of furniture, beds and accessories. The total stock disposal sale is only at Cooney's, Letterkenny Retail Park. Don't miss out.
If your New Year's resolutions are already struggling, consider taking a leaf out of the GAA fans' Book of Unwavering Commitment. Keep your goals 6.5 metres wide. Commit to shouting at the top of your lungs as often as possible. And focus on counting points instead of calories. The new season is just getting going. Don't miss a moment with a GAA season ticket. Available now on gaa.ie/season ticket. Are you in? The GAA, where we all belong.
It's the famous Right Price Tiles Wood Flooring and Bathware half-price January sale. Get up to 50% off all tiles, wood flooring and bathware. Huge savings. Tiles from only $4.99, wood flooring from only $9.99 per square yard. And bathroom cabinets and toilets reduced to clear. Right Price Tiles Wood Flooring and Bathware half-price January sale is now on.
Do you have a job vacancy that needs filled fast? Tried everything but still no luck? Let Highland Radio's Job Spot do the work for you. We'll share your vacancies with 70,000 daily listeners in Donegal, Derry and Tyrone every Monday, Wednesday and Friday during prime time. Plus your jobs will be listed on highlandradio.com under our Job Spot section. It's fast, cost effective and reaches the people you need. Contact our advertising team today on 07491 253 22 or email advertising@highlandradio.com. Highland Radio, delivering your message across the Northwest.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenny's. Are you ready to save big? The McElhenny's winter sale is here with up to 50% off your favourite designer brands. Shop in store or online at mcelhennys.com.
Generally dry for the day with clear skies and some sunny spells too, turning cloudy again through the afternoon with outbreaks of rain and drizzle, moving eastwards through the evening, temperatures 3 to 5 degrees. Now, SMA has been brought to media attention recently after singer Jessie Nelson revealed that her 8-month-old twin daughters, Ocean Jade and Story Monroe Nelson Foster, have been diagnosed with spinal muscular atrophy, type 1, a severe generic neuromuscle disorder that affects muscle strength and movement. And it's terribly sad to see Jessie's, I suppose, because she's in the public eye, having to put that out there on the record, but also important, I suppose, in raising awareness. Jonathan O'Grady has been doing this himself for quite some time now. He's co-founder of SMA Ireland. Thanks for joining me, Jonathan. I do appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, Greg.
You know, and of course, whilst we have sympathy with Jessie and the family and what they're going through, you know, it is important, I suppose, when people in their difficult times do speak out, because it gets the conversation going and helps to increase awareness at the same time.
Absolutely. SMA is a rare disease. There are approximately 6 children born with it every year in Ireland. That's out of a typical 60,000 babies born in Ireland every year. So it's very rare. As you described it, it's a neuromuscular disorder, which means that it's down to a genetic defect. In its worst form, type 1, unfortunately, without treatment, 80-90% of children won't live past their second birthday.
Okay.
However, in its milder forms, type 2, a child may crawl, may even stand and fall over, but will probably never walk. And type 3s could walk as infants and then possibly lose it later in life. So it's quite a broad spectrum.
We have genetic testing now. When you were born, there wasn't genetic testing. What is the advantage of the genetic testing, and should we be doing it for all babies as part of the prick test if we're not doing so?
Well, it's a very pertinent question. SMA Ireland has been campaigning for the last 3 years or so to see SMA added to the Irish heel prick test. So when I was diagnosed with SMA, there was no genetic testing. It was back in the 80s, and they relied on muscle biopsies and all sorts of different tests. Since the 90s and the advance of genetic testing, it's now possible to spot the mutation from a simple blood spot. So we have this situation in Ireland right now where the HSE has approved 3 different medicines for the treatment of SMA, which all make a dramatic difference. But ironically,
we're not connecting those to people who need them.
They're not.
Yeah.
The diagnosis is still a bit of a mystery tour. So, obviously Jessie is living in the UK, but, they also don't have genetic testing as part of the heel prick test. So what happens is parents will leave the hospital. After 3 days, the parents will have the heel prick test, testing for, in the case of Ireland, maybe 10 conditions. Not including SMA, and they'll go home thinking that their baby is healthy and well, and then over the following number of months, the baby will start to miss milestones.
Yeah,
and maybe the baby will sit up and flop over or whatever, and then they start this circuitous kind of route to try and work out what's wrong with the little baby. And because SMA is such a rare disease, and you must test for it. You need to go and say, oh, well, it could be SMA. Can we test for SMA? It can be 6-9 months before eventually somebody joins the dots and says, why don't we try SMA? Once you're tested and you're positive, you have the opportunity to get this life-saving medicine.
And just briefly, how beneficial is the medicine? Is it really about sustaining life, or can it lead to better mobility? Or
in general, it's transformational.
Okay.
Provided the child gets it when they're very, very young. Older patients are treated, and it's important because they get stability. But with SMA, it's a motor neuron condition. So essentially, the motor neurons start to die as the baby gets older. Once they're dead, they're dead.
Yeah.
So if you can get that medicine to the child when it's very, very young, so in other words, in the first weeks of life, you can prevent those motor neurons from dying.
Okay, and you do that by getting this included in the heel prick. The future won't wait is the tagline, ey.ai.ie. Is that the website, or is that something different? Is that different? That's your job,
work.
is it?
But
you can check out ey.ai if you like. But if you want to check more information out about what we're talking about, SMA Ireland, what's the URL for that?
SMAIreland.com.
Okay,
is a good place to start.
All right, okay, and you know, people, what can we do? Not everyone can donate to charity, but if you've listened to Jonathan, they think, yes, why aren't we doing this prick test as well? You can make a big difference by sort of joining a campaign or contacting your local TD or something along those lines. Thanks so much for your time. I do appreciate it. Look after yourself. 086 60 25,000. Don't forget, you can still contact us and we can pick up those contacts and carry them into the next programme. But that's where we leave it